Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of A Moment of Honor with the Sanctuarian. Today, I am so excited to have these two lovely ladies here joining us today. We have Mikki Lish and Kelly Ngai. They are the co-authors of The House on Hoarder Hill and The Magician's Map. Hi, ladies. Welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, thank you.
Hi, Jocelyn. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. So they've actually brought a special treat for us today. We're going to view a little clip and then we'll talk about it afterwards. Okay. So let's pray that the tech works here. We're going to click share.
Now, kids, I need you guys to promise that you'll be on your best behavior for Grandad John.
Hello?
Remember, he doesn't have visitors much, so be nice.
Do you think you'll teach me some of his magic?
Cool. Well, Spence, Grandad's been retired a long time now, sweetie. He doesn't perform his magic anymore.
Don't touch that! It's okay. No harm done. How about a hug for your granddad?
Can you teach me some magic this holiday, Grandad?
Whoa, you want to get secrets out of me while you're here, eh? Don't leave anything lying around you're not prepared to lose. Don't go snooping about the house, especially when it's dark. But whatever you do, don't touch anything.
Grandad,
Yes, Eddie?
why don't you do magic anymore?
Firstly, there is no magic in this house, only tricks. You see, tricks simply take practice and flair. You learn to make your audience see one thing while you do another. But magic can be dangerous. Magic takes power. Magic takes belief. And I lost both of those things the day your grandmother disappeared.
So magic is real. He doesn't believe in it.
Well, perhaps magic is a very sensible thing not to believe in.
All right. So that trailer was really exciting. And now I want to kind of know what went into really getting that made and what are the inner workings of that.
Well, we created the trailer to help give a visualization for everyone to understand what the book was about. And then it also ended up helping us sell the TV option deal. So we secured a TV option deal as well as a Hollywood agent, which is fantastic. And we shot that in 1.5 days. Kelly is in Sydney and I'm in California. And we shot it remotely in London in 1.5 days for like $2,500. And
wow.
The little boy that's in it is actually the brother of the current Spider-Man, Harry Holland, and Tom Holland, and Tom's other brother, Harry, also directed it for us, and he was 17 at the time.
Wow, that's incredible. That's amazing. And so tell us, how does it work to be co-authors and having this project together on opposite sides of the world?
Mikki and I haven't seen each other since 2018, actually. So it's a long distance relationship for the two of us. So we've really burled through most of book 1 and then book 2 and book 3, which is with the publisher remotely. Luckily, the time difference isn't too cruel between the US and Australia, but we'll jump on video calls, FaceTime, text message, all of those sorts of things to work out what the story should be. And then I'll write some pages out, send it to Mikki for feedback. She'll come back with extra bits of dialogue, what could happen next, jokes, things like that to add. So we sort of trade back and forth that way.
That's great. And I love, there's something you guys always say is it's not uncommon to have one of you in pajamas. I think that is the greatest thing ever.
Life in lockdown. Everyone's in pajamas all the time, even if it's from the waist down.
But even before lockdown, yes, it was a lot of pajama talks.
Absolutely. Now, as everybody knows, in the last 18 plus months, we've been going through this pandemic. Have you seen kind of any changes to how you approach writing and especially with the releases of your 2 books?
I don't think there was much difference in the creating and writing because we always did it long distance. The only thing that would have been more difficult was that Kelly had her kids at home and she was working from home. So I think just the stress and the workload of that probably affected Kelly.
Yeah. I mean, I think COVID was a terrible time to be debut authors, really, because people weren't going into stores, browsing the shelves and looking for new things to buy. So if you were J.K. Rowling or David Walliams or Julia Donaldson, your sales went up because people knew who you were, they trusted you as a creator, and so they'd buy books for your kids, but we weren't able to be discovered. So that was probably a bit challenging. You know, we couldn't have book launches, signings and visits to school physically that we would have loved to do. And I think the other difficulty is that we weren't able to meet up and do research. So for book 2, luckily we were able to fit in a trip to Edinburgh before all of this happened, and that helped ground some of the detail of book 2. But book 3, for instance, is set in Paris, and we would have loved to be in Paris, you know, wandering around eating croissants and having pate and all this champagne, all those sorts of things to do research, but we couldn't do that. Thankfully, a lot of people post blogs and shoot videos and put them on YouTube and that sort of thing. So there's been a lot of desk research to take the place of physical site visits to soak in the atmosphere.
That's incredible. So as you mentioned, book 1 is out, and how many countries now is book 1 available in?
I think it's 17. We've kind of lost track. And there's a few countries are still having to release the first book. So I don't think Russia's released it as yet. And also, again, COVID affected release dates. Like our American release was pushed by a year, which was frustrating at the time. But it kind of worked out because now we've slowly opened up and the book was just released in August. So I've been able to do in stores and Kelly and I were also doing a lot of author Zoom talks, which we have this great presentation that we do. So we've been doing that for Australia, the UK, the US.
Yeah, they've been really fun. So we and you know, since we're in different countries, it's nice to sort of equally be online for students, and it's still a buzz to be able to talk to them, go into classes virtually, things like that. Yeah.
Even when it's 3 a.m. in the morning.
It's creative, yes. So talk a little bit more about the program that you do with the schools. I know you guys have a whole little thing that you do via Zoom with a little bit of magic for the students.
Kelly, you want to take that one?
Oh, yes. So usually we talk to students probably between grades 3 and 6, I'd say, and we talk a little bit about how we work together, about how the sizzle reel was made, what it's like to be a writer, especially as newbie writers, tips and tricks that we have for kids who might be interested in writing. So yeah, just a little bit of behind the scenes action, and of course, lots of kids are very interested in how Mikki knows Tom Holland. And when we have Q&A at the end, they're, can I have Tom Holland's phone number? So that's one of the most popular questions. I have one lame magic trick that I can roll out, but that's about the limit of my magical presentation skills.
That's fantastic. So this entire series is really kind of honoring the work that you do and just kind of sharing it with the world. So I want to ask you, what made you inspired to start writing? And what age did you feel that you decided, hey, I want to be a writer?
This is again going to be a Kelly question, but I'll just jump in quickly with an idea just came to me, and I reached out to Kelly's brother because I knew that he directed and wrote as well. And I met Kelly's brother, Doug, on the set of Wolverine. So we've been friends for a long time. And I asked him if he would write with me, and he said, well, no, that's kind of up, my sister's alley. You should talk to my sister. And I was like, oh, sister, like I've been like pushed aside. And then fortunately we met and talked, and it's just been an amazing collaboration. But I never really had aspirations to be a writer. For me, probably more on the TV or film side, like creating content. But Kelly.
Well, I know, Mikki, you have said in the past that you used to write plays and things like that for friends and other kids at school, which would be put on at school. So, yeah, I'm sure you got that buzz early on of people bringing your stories to life. And yeah, I probably started thinking seriously that I'd love to become a writer around grade 11. I used to write stories and things for my friends at school and loved it when they enjoyed them, and then won a writing competition in my final year of high school. But I didn't really know how to go about turning it into a career. So it took me, I don't know, what was it, 25 years or something like that to actually make it happen and get something published into the world. So I think figuring out how to have discipline and self-motivation as a writer early on is key to being able to jump into it as a career.
Yeah, well, and I think that's incredible too, that you said that it took about 25 years, that there's a lot of life that you go through within 25 years, and being able to kind of pull from those experiences too, whether you're writing for children or adults, you're able to kind of bring in and touch on each of those points. And I think that's fantastic. And two, it just speaks to kind of your dedication for it, and that it wasn't just a side hobby that you wanted to do. It was something that you really felt creative and that you needed to do. And so if you could give any of these young writers 1 or 2 tips, if they're really interested in becoming a writer, what would those be?
You want to go, Kel?
No. I'd say, I don't know if this works for everybody. For me, it's getting into the habit of writing every day, because the hardest part is turning your idea into expressed words on page. It's a muscle that you need to exercise, just like getting fit. So you need to carve out some time. And I probably found that I could establish that habit at the most busy time of my life, with young kids and full-time work and all of that sort of thing. And I remember someone I spoke to who is a really successful entrepreneur. She said, well, you'll just have to get up at 4 a.m. and do it. And I thought, you are crazy. There is no way I'm doing that. But it ended up being something that I found I could do. I don't think I would have found space in my life to set aside 6 weeks, have no other distractions, go into the woods and churn something out. So so if you also don't have that sort of space in your life, I'd say find half an hour a day.
And if you get stuck on something where you just can't figure out the solution, like in the story, just keep going. Just write something exciting happens here, or just keep moving ahead. Or for me personally, when I think there's no way we're going to figure out a hurdle in the story, music usually helps me. And if I'm driving, but if you're too young to drive, just listen to music. And also visual things like on Pinterest. It may have nothing to do with what we're trying to solve, but it can just spark an idea, or you missee something. But usually music will bring a lot of imagery personally for me. And that helps a lot. And then I'm trying to, with the steering wheel, writing little notes on little bits of paper, or no, not if you're learning to drive, don't do that. Or just trying to, record it, or pull over and just quickly write it. So I've always got a notebook in the car.
Sometimes I'll get a Siri message from Mikki. She's had an idea while driving, and this garbled, nonsensical message that Siri has tried to transcribe into a message comes through, and I'll send a couple of question marks back to her. And when Mikki has safely parked, she'll say, "Oh, what it should have said was blah, blah, blah." But that's so true. I mean, I've heard, I really love listening to podcasts, interviews with writers and screenwriters, and a few of them have said, if you're feeling blocked, go for a walk, go for a drive. And I think listening to music would probably do the same thing. It kind of takes you out of your space and helps free you up by getting movement happening on a different plane, and you can get around that particular blockage. A solution might come to you. So, yeah, I totally agree with that.
And also have a notebook next to your bed, because a lot of my ideas come at 2 or 3 a.m. and I think I'll remember them, and I wake up and I don't. So I learned that lesson. Even if it makes no sense, just scribble it down. And then the next morning, sometimes it's like, what?
That's so true. I've got to take that advice, actually, because I find reading will inspire me. If it's not a great book, I'll just kind of hoover it up like junk food. If it's a well-written book, I'll find that will inspire me. And so, I think I need to keep a notebook by my bedside, like Mikki does, because I get those ideas at 11 o'clock when I'm trying to go to sleep. Yeah, right. That's how to sort of solve that problem. Maybe we could tackle that in a similar way in our story. Yeah.
Well, and I think it's just important too that they know that it doesn't all have to come straight from them at that moment, that they can pull from different creative touches, like the music, like art, other books, things like that can really kind of hone in or give them somewhat of a visual of where they wanted to go with it. And I like, Mikki, how you said, just kind of keep pushing through. Eventually, as you're writing different sections, that section that you may have moved across is going to come to you. And I remember last year, you mentioned how kind of going through that process where then you went back to the section and made it really great. And then you said, oh, wait, I have to go now back through everything and really kind of zhuzh it up a little bit, so to speak, to kind of really amplify it now that we made that one section really good. Now, you mentioned writer's block. So what are some ways that you, besides the music and things, that you find help you really kind of get out of that writer's block?
Alcohol.
Cheers. Yes. Absolutely.
For me, again, it's just listening to music, or just not even thinking it, like just giving yourself a rest. Because again, it'll come and it's in the most unlikely times and the hardest thing to have to get over in the book for it to make sense, or for because sometimes Kelly and I will come up with, I just call them set pieces that we want in the book. But then we've got to make it count and make sense as to why it's in there. You can't just have something really cool in there. And I'm really great at doing that. I'll just say, Kelly, why don't we have a dinosaur that roller skates? And she'll be like, now what's the purpose of the dinosaur roller skating? And then she'll make me have to sort of think about it and explain it and come up with a rationale. And, sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. So.
Yeah. I mean, I think in terms of the mechanics of writing, I type into a laptop like most of us do. I know some writers will still do longhand. I think Quentin Tarantino writes his scripts longhand on, legal pads still, but that's not what I do. So what I've found can help is changing tack and moving to a different medium. So I'll get a blank sheet of art paper and just start mind mapping. So rather than words going across the page, I'm thinking in circles and linkages and webs, and I'll just put a central idea on a page and start sending out little offshoots for possibilities. And whether they're stupid or not, put them down on paper, because as Mikki said, it might help. It might be that stepping stone to get you to your story solution.
Yeah, that's great. And one of the things I kind of wanted to talk about too is I know as we were prepping in Tech Check, you said the Spanish version of the first book is actually going to be available, or is currently available.
Yeah, it's been released but through Planeta Junior, La Casa and Hoarder Hill. The cover artwork is by a brilliant Mexican artist, Luis San Vicente. And it's available in Spanish language territories. So not only Spain, but Central South America. Yep.
That's fantastic. And I know earlier you had mentioned Barnes & Noble, but is there any other locations that our viewers can actually purchase the book?
It should be available at most bookstores, or they can at least order them in. I know that Amazon bookstores were actually carrying it, and I didn't even know Amazon had bookstores, but they featured us in their Halloween section, in their Halloween display, which was fantastic. Like there's a little local store here called Frugal Frigate. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. It's a little children's bookstore and they carry it. Target online. But just call your local bookstore.
Yeah, so it's published through Scholastic in the US. Most retailers should have it online and bricks and mortar. And there's also audiobook copies and e-publication copies as well.
And we just won an award for our American audiobook. So that was great. We didn't even know they existed, but apparently they do. So we'll take it.
That's exciting. That's fantastic. All right. So one other thing I know our viewers are wondering is, where can they follow you? Where can they find you if they want to bring you into their school or organization to do your little presentation, or even just to follow all of the new content coming through?
We're both on Twitter under our own names, and also on Instagram. And on Instagram, we've also got The House on Hoarder Hill and The Mysterious House on Hoarder Hill, which was the original title. We have pages for that as well. And I can see on the website here, the cover of the book is that's pictured is the UK and the Australian one. The American one is this, but I don't have an American copy because they're all just gone. But that's
a good thing too, Mikki. They all just sold out. They're good. Everybody's reading them.
I'd just gone to Barnes & Noble and I actually had emailed them and said, could you please get some more copies in, because I'd just gone by to pick up one for a friend because I didn't have any left. And he said that they had ordered them and they've just been flying out the door. So that was a really great email to receive yesterday.
Yes, that's exciting.
We have connected with lots of teachers over Twitter. I think we're probably less active on Twitter and follow people more than we post. But yeah, we've connected with a lot of teachers over Twitter. So if anyone's interested in having us do a little Zoom chat with their class, yeah, we're more than happy to arrange that with them.
Yeah, tag us so we can follow you and then we can message.
Perfect. And I did share all of those social media tags in the chat, so you should be able to have them there. And again, I will be sharing the trailer as well as those social media tags in the email that will go out to the list tomorrow. So if you're not on that list, make sure you click subscribe. Is there anything else you want to leave our viewers with before we end today?
I'd say the house on Hoarder Hill is set at Christmas, so it's a lovely Christmas gift for any middle grade readers who like magical adventure.
And also in the UK, it's been adopted by a lot of organisations where for kids that are reluctant readers, and we're like one of their top 2 books to have kids read, and they've had phenomenal success with that. So that's been great.
Oh, that's wonderful. And one last question for you. I know the second book, we haven't talked too much about the second book. Now, is that one already released or will be soon released worldwide?
It's released in most countries around the world, but not in the US. It'll be released in March next year. It was supposed to be released now, but they've pushed it to March.
All right.
It's called The Magician's Map.
Perfect. So everybody keep your eye out for the Magician's Map as well. And if you haven't got the house on Hoarder Hill, go to your local bookstore today. All right. Thank you, ladies, so much for joining me today. It was lovely.
Thank you,
And
Jocelyn.
we'll see you all soon. Have a great
Wonderful.
day.
Thanks for having us.
Bye,
Lovely to chat.
everyone.
Bye-bye.